see you. I've been
Nice to see you too.
excited to talk to you all day.
You must not have had a very, very exciting day then.
Well, I really appreciate your willingness to tell your story, because it's so important to start this conversation, and you're a big part of that. So
Thank you. I agree completely with you.
So how about we start by telling everybody who you are?
My name is Wendy Burch. I'm a television journalist. I've been a TV journalist for a very long time, but for the better part of the last decade or so, I've been working here in Los Angeles, and I'm a part of the KTLA Morning News team. So yes, a lot of people, in fact probably millions, wake up with me every morning, so to speak. So I have followed my passion and was very career driven, and that led me here. But what leads me to talking to you is, very publicly, I sort of chronicled and reported on my own struggles with fertility, because I tried to get pregnant in my 40s. I'm happy to say that I had a baby just 3 weeks before I turned 46 years of age, a beautiful baby boy named Brady, who is screaming in the other room right now. But that's okay. Grandma's there and the dog, so things should be fine. But I was very, very public about my struggles, because I don't feel enough women talk about it, and so many women go through it. And I also, while living here in what we love to call La La Land, I felt, I don't know, sort of an anger or an injustice that there were so many celebrities that we women admire and we look up to, who would sit there on the cover of People magazine smiling with their 2 babies, and you'd read the article and there would never even be a mention about in vitro fertilization or donor eggs or freezing their eggs, nothing. And I thought that was such a disservice to so many of us who, just believed that they just sort of fell pregnant. So I decided to come out and be very honest and very open with my own struggles, and I ended up making just a whole world of friends and had the most amazing support in the world. And I wanted to speak up, so I hope others will do the same.
So incredible. I mean, you touched on a really great point. It is kind of misleading when you see celebrities at 40, or even Janet Jackson just came out that she's pregnant at 49. However old she is.
49. She'll be 50. Yeah, she'll be 50 coming up. And speaking of that, I'm actually writing an entry for the Huffington Post. I write for them on occasion. I think you picked up some of my stories. It's an open letter to Janet, Miss Jackson, if you're pregnant, because she is in a perfect position right now to come up and say, hey, I froze my eggs, or I'm using a donor egg. There is no shame in it. And I think, and this is my soapbox, there is only shame in something when you keep it a secret. There is no reason to keep this a secret anymore. We are in the age of modern family. We are in the age where people adopt, people have surrogates, same-sex couples go out of their way to find the great donors, to do whatever. There's older women having babies. And I have to say, too, I didn't just one day wake up and say, oh, my gosh, this is great. I'm going to use a donor egg, and that's how it's going to work. I tried really hard for a number of years to use my own genetics, my own egg. And I was just in the belief that all I needed was that one good egg. And it's true, all you need is that one good egg. But finding that one good egg is challenging. And I didn't start trying to have a baby until I was 41. So my FSH levels were good. They weren't great, but they were good. And I had to believe that there was still one good egg inside of me. You know what? There still may be. But finding it, well, that is one heck of an egg hunt. Mm-hmm. And I certainly just ran out of the time and the patience and the money to keep doing rounds and rounds and rounds of in vitro.
So when they brought up the idea about an egg donor, what was your first reaction?
Absolutely not. I was going to do this all on my own. And I'll back up, too, because I, as a child, was adopted. So I was looking for that genetic connection. In my mind, it was important for me to have a child so I could heal. I don't know quite what the word was, but I wanted to have something that was a mini me. I wanted to have that, little specimen of me running around. And
kind of bridge that gap.
Too.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, I wanted to fill the gap. I wanted to connect that. And I think a lot of adopted children probably feel the same way. They want some sort of like genetic connection to someone. And I certainly wanted that. So I was trying that. And like many, look, I didn't look 40. I didn't feel 40, although one really never knows what 40 is supposed to feel like. I was healthy. I never really drank. I didn't do drugs. I mean, there were all these things that I thought, for sure, my eggs are younger than everyone else's eggs. At least that was the belief in my mind. But that is the great injustice of this world. we as women have so many amazing opportunities now, opportunities that our mothers didn't have, that our grandmothers didn't even dream of. But the reality is our bodies are still the same mechanism. They're the same machine that they were in the 1800s and the 1700s. The best time to have a baby is when you're a teenager, when you're 21. That's when your eggs are the healthiest. And yet we then have all these opportunities, so we delay, we put it off. 20 turns into 30, and 30 turned into 40. I still was married, but yet I wanted to have a baby, and I knew I wanted to have a baby. So back to your original question, no. When I first started this, a donor egg was out of the question. But I think for most people, the road of fertility is a journey. And where you start and where you end up are two very, very different places. So for me, after countless of cycles, and, I did Clomid month after month after month because, and I'm speaking in terms that I'm assuming your audience will understand. Clomid, of course, is a fertility drug that's very common and very popular, and I responded very well on it. Month after month for years on Clomid. I probably did Clomid for about 2.5, 3 years, nearly every month. And I'd have maybe 5, maybe 6 follicles, and I'd go through the ultrasounds. I mean, when I say I was a regular at the fertility clinic, I mean, even the ballet guy knew my name. I was there regularly. I got to the point where I realized it was going to be my Hail Mary, and what did I want my Hail Mary to be? And so I put on my reporter hat, and I looked at the facts, and that's when I decided to use a donor egg.
Wow, that really came full circle for you. I was just going to say, do you feel like maybe the journalism aspect in you helped calm and come to peace with the donor egg piece?
Well, yes and no. I mean, there was a really special story to it. So this is sort of the moment when I knew I had made the right decision. Of course, I knew about donor eggs, and I always knew that was an option for me. My doctor would mention it from time or two, but he also knew what I wanted, and that, everyone I think goes into this wanting that genetic connection. So I had gone through this for a number of years, and I think I'd kind of taken a break for about 6 months when I was around, I would say, 44. I'd sort of kind of just stepped back from a little bit. And then I decided I was turning 45. I wanted to have a big, big birthday celebration. And I did. I threw myself a quinceañera trace. And that's a whole other Skype conversation. So I had like 150 people, and we were wearing big dresses, and we had tequila. And it was the greatest birthday party ever. It was so much fun. After coming off of that, I thought to myself, my life it's a great life. I have tons of friends and I have a great career, and, I'm in a relationship, and it's a good life. I can do lots of things and I have lots of opportunities, but I decided that still what I knew I really, really wanted, and I didn't want to have this not be a part of my life, is that I wanted to be a mother. Mm-hmm. So I decided right after I turned 45 that I would do what I call my Hail Mary, that I would do one more round of something. We were past the point where it was just, let's just go have sex. There was going to have to be some sort of medical intervention involved. So I had gone through failed rounds of in vitro. I'd gone through countless failed rounds and cycles of Clomid. So I looked at the statistics of actually going through one more round of in vitro fertilization at 45 years of age. These are cold hard facts. This is where I put my reporter hat back on. I had a 2 to 3% chance of getting pregnant. That's with in vitro. That's with everything, using my own eggs at the age of 45. If I got pregnant on that very, very slim chance, I still had a 50% chance of miscarrying, because we're talking about 45-year-old eggs. They're not great eggs. They're not really genetically sound anymore. If I even made it past that danger zone of miscarriage, I had a 1 in 30 chance that my child, my genetic child, would have some sort of Down syndrome or would likely be on the autistic spectrum. Those are frightening statistics. Look at the statistics if I was to use a donor egg, a healthy, viable donor egg that was already screened and already tested and ready to go and young. All of a sudden, those percentages went up from 2 to 3% to basically 60%. But we all know the success rates now. It was really like 70%. And my chances of miscarriage, no more than the average 20-year-old, because your miscarriage rates are based on the age of your eggs, not the age of the person. And I had been tested a million times. It wasn't as if I had any sort of known difficulties for carrying a healthy pregnancy. So I looked at that and I thought, if I'm going to do a Hail Mary, I need to put everything in place that's going to make this the most successful pregnancy and to make this a healthy child. Because as badly as I wanted to be a mother, I wanted to be a mother of a healthy child. Mm-hmm. That's not saying anything disparaging to those amazing women that have children with special needs. But I wanted a healthy child. And you could say that's selfish,
It's
whatever.
ideal.
And you know
It's
what? That's
ideal.
okay,
I
because you
mean,
can be selfish about that. So
yeah, it's
that's what
ideal. I mean, you want to
yeah,
bring a better life for your children, and you
exactly.
don't want to make it hard for them before they even start out.
No,
No
I
one
wanted
wishes
to
for
give
that.
them, my child everything that I could, which included, healthy genetics. So I had still struggled a little bit. I remember I talked to some of my girlfriends about the donor egg, and one of my girlfriends said, "Well, the child might not look like you." And then I looked at her child that looked exactly like her husband. I said, that's the irony. I could have gone through all of this. I could have gotten pregnant, with my own egg, and then the kid could have looked just like his father or her father instead of me. I'm like, it's still a crapshoot, even at that point. So I talked to my doctors, and what was very, very interesting, I had the opportunity to actually use a very well-renowned egg bank known as myeggbank.com out of Atlanta, Georgia. They're one of the best known in the country. They're sort of father's vitrification, which is the actual freezing of the eggs. And what I was able to do was actually buy a lot. And when I say lot, I don't mean I got a whole lot of eggs. I got a lot of eggs, of frozen eggs. I got 6 of them. Now, this was also a very fast and efficient way of going through this, because I didn't have to go and actually screen and find the egg donor, wait for the baby or wait for the woman's cycle to sync up. I mean, that process can really go on for like the better part of a year. This is a process where you basically go online, you look at the profiles, you pick one, and a couple weeks later, the eggs are sent like via FedEx to your fertility clinic, and you're having a baby. I mean, or you're going through the process. So pick somebody from a website, someone that I didn't know that this person was going to be a part of the genetic makeup of my child. So I was still looking for the sign. So I went online, and like many of these, if you've ever been on an online dating site, I haven't. I've done stories on them. You go through and you look at profiles. So I thought, well, let's start at the beginning. Let's hit the Caucasian box, because let's be honest, I'm white. My partner was white, so let's start there. And then I'm tall. You can't tell in this Skype frame, but I'm almost 5'9". My partner, my baby's father, is 6'5". So I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to genetically engineer a child, be a supermodel or a super athlete, I mean, if we're going to go there, let's look for height. So I went down, and the first profile I came across was this girl who was 21 years of age at the time that she froze her eggs. She was 5 feet 11 inches tall. So I said, well, let's take a look at this. So I went on, and I took a look at her profile, and again, I was still looking for the sign. And it's a pretty generic profile at the beginning. What are your likes? What are your interests? What is your height? What is your weight? And then it said, what are you studying? Because all of their donors that they use through this service are all, college students. And she was studying to be a broadcast journalist.
Ironic.
There was my sign.
Yep.
There was my sign. There was my sign. I even got, if I needed more, I went on. At the time, I was also, aside from reporting, I was running a nonprofit foundation, which I had founded, called the Good News Foundation. And I looked down, and one of her life's ambitions was to one day run a nonprofit organization. So there was, yet again, another sign. So I didn't look at another profile. I only looked at one profile. That's all I needed. And what I really did love about the service that I went with is, of course, I'll never meet her. I'll never know her. That wasn't a part of the bargain on her end or on my end. But what the service says is they give you a photo of the egg donor as a child, so you can see what they look like as a child. And I love that, because I thought about it. I was like, well, if I was an egg donor, I'd have to do disclaimers. I'm like, this is not my hair color. This is not my nose. I'm like, there's a lot of things that have changed. But I wanted to see what she looked like as a child. And there's a very, very sweet resemblance between her photo as a child, it's about 2.5, and my photo. And that was enough for me. When the eggs arrived, as I told you, I bought 6 eggs. There was another egg. There was one more. There was 7. Now, I don't know if that's because maybe it was the end of that lot and they didn't want just one egg to go to waste, but I call that lucky number 7, because we got 7 of those eggs. They all fertilized. They all arrived, like I said, via FedEx in a little container where dry ice was coming up. It's everything that you expect. So they came, and I looked at we fertilized the eggs, and all of them fertilized, all 7. But as you know, if you've been in fertility and if you've gone through in vitro, that doesn't mean that all 7 are going to be viable for a pregnancy. So as the days went on, 7 turned into 5, 5 turned into 3, 3 turned to maybe, and by the time we got to the point where we were going to implant those eggs, I had one. I had one egg that was perfect. And when I say egg, one embryo that was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it is a numbers game.
Yeah, I think that was number 7. I think number 7 came through. Number 7 was a perfect embryo. So I spoke to my doctors because this was now a single egg transfer. There were going to be no other chances from this donor. There was going to be nothing else left on ice, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I said to them, I go, what are the chances here? I really want to know. And they said that they grade embryos. Many people don't know that. They give them quality grades. This was an A grade embryo. I said, well, what is the average for people get pregnant? They go, pretty much the average is a C. Likely you were a C grade embryo. C is good enough to make it to a pregnancy, but you have an A. So I had all the confidence in the world. And 10 days later, I did the blood test, and I was pregnant. And I had pretty much a picture-perfect pregnancy. I mean, carrying a baby at an older age isn't the problem. The problem always has to do, well, I don't want to say always because there are some people with complications, but, most of the time, I think 9 out of 10 times, the problem with women carrying children past 40 is the quality of the eggs. The quality is bad, and that leads to miscarriages. But I had a perfect egg, and I had a near-perfect pregnancy. I say near-perfect because at the end, I had eclampsia, I had to have a C-section, so it wasn't without its drama in the last moments, but that would have and could have happened to anyone. Just had to, it's a situation with mine. So that's my story. I looked for the signs, and I shared that story. We actually had TV cameras, not rolling during everything, but there when I heard the heartbeat, and there when the doctors confirmed my pregnancy, and there when I took the blood test. So, and I shared that with our viewers. I went on set, and it was really, it's interesting the connection I have with television viewers here in Los Angeles now. People that clearly I don't know personally come up to me in the mall. They come up to me, on the frozen food aisle, ironically, and they talk about their stories, and they share their stories with me. And all of them talk to me about how grateful they are that I started talking about that. I've even received Facebook messages from people that say, thank you for telling your story because you did. My daughter went and froze her eggs. And those are the sort of stories that I feel so empowered because as a journalist, I have done thousands of stories, but I don't think I've done any one story that's been more impactful than the story I did on myself because that changes and is changing lives.
Did you ever hesitate about sharing your own story? Because that could be a vulnerable place. Or was it without a doubt you were like, I'm going to do this?
I think it was organic for me. I also think that because, let's just say I wasn't a young reporter, I sort of kind of came into my own. I kind of knew who I was. And I recognized the platform and the voice that I had. And I felt that would also be a disservice, or I thought it would be disingenuous for me to then all of a sudden, because, we're more show. So when someone gets pregnant, it's like a big deal. We're happy, we talk about it on the air. We, be a part of the dialogue. I thought it would be disingenuous for me to be pregnant at 43 or 44 or 45 and be like, hey, look at me, I'm pregnant and you can be pregnant too. I want to be like, no, don't be like me. Don't wait this long. Don't spend or have to spend, tens of thousands of dollars. I actually quit counting at 50,000 when it came to how much I spent to get pregnant. I stopped. I cannot count anymore. I don't want women to be like me. I don't want them to have to go through those struggles or those uncertainties. And even though I have a great story involving a donor egg, I don't want women to have to do that. I want women to freeze their eggs. When you graduate from college, if you are career driven, if you have an ambition to work hard and you don't know where life is going to take you, but you want to take advantage of all those opportunities, you know what? Don't get a Rolex from your family. Don't get a new car. Tell them to give you the money to go freeze the eggs. And to single women who are professional women, that's what I'm talking to the most, to say that you don't have the money, you do have the money. So
it's
the money
priorities.
You spend it on booze, and you spend it on vacations, and you spend it on nice apartments and that BMW. I know because that was me. I'm saying now, invest in your future. Spend it's $15,000. You might now be able to maybe do it for around 12 or 13, but I always say 15 because I know it's really not over that. Freeze your eggs when you're in your 20s. And if you let that time slip by, don't worry, but freeze them before you turn 35. And then all of a sudden, you are open to a whole other world of possibilities. And I also believe this, as a single woman, you will make better choices of who your partner will be. because you won't feel desperate. You won't feel like you have to make a relationship work because you have to have a baby. Because I think that's what I did. I was like, I had to make that relationship that I was in work. Subsequently, it didn't work. We ended up breaking up while I was pregnant. We are now co-parenting, and maybe that's another Skype conversation. But had I had my eggs frozen, I wonder if I would have had a little bit more. Well, I know I would have felt like I had more time on my hand to make the decisions, to make good choices for lasting relationships, because that ultimately is what you want. I mean, we all want it. I mean, you make it work, however the life is and whatever cards you're dealt. But let's be honest, we all want the handsome husband and the stable home life. And I think, it is possible. I do believe that you can have it all. You just sometimes can't have it all at the same time. So you have to schedule it.
Yeah. Well,
you have to plan for it.
You are definitely speaking to the choir. I can't thank you enough for a number of statements you've said. That's what I've been trying to preach to all my girlfriends for a long time. So you've got it down. You understand the drill. And
when they say that I preach it from the street corners, I literally preach it from the street corners. There was a time not too long ago when I was standing where it was actually a homicide investigation. And, as we are as reporters, there will be multiple reporters from different stations standing around. And so there was like a 30-something from Channel 2, and there was a 30-something from Channel 4, and we were talking, and they knew about my story, and they were asking me, and I'm like, have you frozen your eggs? Have you frozen your eggs? You need to freeze your eggs. I'm handing out business cards of my doctor, my fertility clinic. I mean, I literally am on street corners. I want to stand up and say, do this. We all believe in insurance policies. We have homeowners insurance. We have car insurance policies. We have health insurance. I'm saying, give yourself pregnancy insurance, because that's what we're talking about. And egg freezing now, as you know, is no longer considered experimental. When it was first introduced to me, it was. The odds were really, well, they weren't great. They were like 25%. They kind of hadn't figured out the vitrification process. They hadn't quite figured out how to freeze an egg, because eggs are a lot more fragile than embryos. But let me tell you, science has caught up with us. The FDA says this is no longer experimental. This is real science. They can take your eggs, they can freeze that moment in time, and when you're ready to have that baby, you have the eggs of however you old were when you froze them.
You can be your own egg donor.
20-year-old eggs.
Right, you could be your own egg donor.
Exactly. Be your own egg donor. That's what you need to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I just can't thank you enough for being so open and talking about your story, because this is exactly what I'm trying to encourage our readers and listeners to discuss and have this open dialogue, because when you do take advantage of it and you're younger, you not only save all the money that you would spend when you're older trying to get pregnant and going through that whole process like you did, but then you can biologically have your own child, and it's the best of both worlds.
It totally is. And to my, we're doing this conversation the day before Mother's Day, to my egg donor, and I had written an open letter that was published on the Huffington Post, but, wherever she is, thank you. It was it's the greatest gift from someone that I never knew and will never know. And my job now is to love Brady enough for all of us. And wherever she is, I hope she's happy, I hope she's healthy, and I hope she froze some of her own eggs as well.
For herself,
That's
yeah.
my wish.
Yeah.
Hey, would you like to see Brady? He's just in the other room.
Yeah.
In a minute, I'll go grab him. Okay, hold on. I'll show you the finished product. Okay,
all right, let's do that.
Brady, come on, we're going to show you on the computer. Okay, here he is, ladies and gentlemen.
Introducing to the world,
Brady Burch.
Hi, Brady.
Say hi, Brady.
How old is Brady now? He's a year.
Pretty much is a perfect thing.
Yeah, Brady, you're so adorable. Do you know you're like semi-famous, buddy?
He's a semi-famous kid. We were at Costco the other day, and he got recognized, not me. They're like, "Isn't that Brady Burch?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, but what about Mommy Burch?"
Mommy Burch. I love that. Costco's great. All the samples. Kids love it.
Oh, we went on sample day. It was very exciting.
Yeah. I take my godkids too. It's great. Well, thank you so much for an awesome story and a happy ending. And hey, buddy. And just for being such an inspiration to everyone.
Thank you. You know what? It's all worth it. It's all worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's delicious. I want to eat him.
Before we go, do you have any advice? Well, I think you gave us a lot of advice, but do you have any specific advice for the woman that's teeter-tottering about having her own child and how to do that, like whether it be get a sperm donor or an egg donor?
Well, I have to say too, I think that for me, I'll just speak personally for me. For me, hi honey. For me, I needed tangible connections. Let me step back. I know Brady's father. I was in a relationship with Brady's father. And I carried Brady, so I had that. So to me, it was okay to have the one intangible, the one thing that was the unknown. That was okay because enough of it was involved, like the connection. You know, I know a lady who her eggs were old, she wasn't in a relationship, and she used a surrogate. At that point, I say adopt.
Yeah, that's a hard
but
connection.
I think that there's, it's okay to make, a compromise. You don't have to make all of them, but, say that, your husband's infertile, use a sperm donor because he'll still be a part of the process and all of that. Sometimes I think it's hard when you have to do more than one kind of, manufactured thing. But for me, this was just the right amount. And, I'm writing a book. I'm working on a book right now about my experience. Oh. And I was going to entitle it, If It Comes Out of My Vagina, It's Mine. Because my point is, if you have this baby, if you carry this child, it is the most amazing thing in the world. Nobody can tell me that Brady's at mine. And similarly, if you can't carry a child, but it's your DNA, and you have to have someone else carry it, I think still you would find this amazing, wonderful connection. So do what you have to do, especially if you know in your heart of hearts that what you want in life is to be a mother. If you don't think you want to be a mother, this is a painful road to go on. I always knew with great confidence that this was what I wanted. So for those of you who have that same sort of unwavering desire, do whatever it takes.
Well, motherhood looks good on you, so...
Oh, I love it. It's keeping me young.
Yeah, and we will look forward to the book. It sounds so exciting.
Thank you. Oh, look. See you.
All right. Well, bye, Brady. Bye, Wendy. Thanks for talking.
Bye. You give me your power punches.